As of this morning, the East Wing looked like a rotisserie chicken your dog got into. That is very upsetting to look at. I realize that. And you know the administration knows that because today, the Secret Service closed access to the Ellipse Park, which is a public park from which journalists had been capturing live images of the East Wing demolition. Well, that makes sense. If none of it's on camera, they can just claim the East Wing hanged itself in prison. Now, he's not a monarch. On Saturday night, he posted this AI video of himself wearing a crown, flying a jet, and strafing New York City with feces. Now, a warning. If you have not seen this video that he posted might be upsetting to sensitive viewers who do not like watching the President of the United States carpet pooping his own citizens. Yvonne?
Look, I've been covering Trump for years now, and I thought I'd seen everything. But what's happening right now between him and Stephen Colbert? This is something else entirely. And honestly, it tells us more about Trump's psychology and the state of American media than almost anything else coming out of this administration. So let me walk you through what just went down, because it's absolutely wild. The AI video that broke the internet. Before we move further, please make sure to like this video and subscribe.
There it is. King Trump crapping on America, which is insane, though I will grant, factually accurate.
Okay, so October 18th, 7 million Americans hit the streets for what they're calling the No Kings protests. We're talking about one of the biggest demonstrations in US history, second only to the original Earth Day back in 1970. And what are they protesting? Trump's authoritarian tendencies, his attacks on democratic norms, all of that. Now, how does the President of the United States respond to 7 million peaceful protesters? He posts an AI-generated video of himself.
A lot of history being smashed to rubble there. First built in 1902, the East Wing has been the headquarters for presidential spouses since the Carter administration. In fact, Melania was in the East Wing, and I certainly hope they got her out of there because she is often mistaken for a beautiful floor lamp. Preservationists have tried in vain to stop this. The National Trust for Historic Preservation requested a pause in the demolition, urging the White House to, quote, go through the legally required public review process and to invite comment from the public.
CBS, and this is important, CBS actually let him show the uncensored video on air. Other networks refused, but Colbert played it, all of it, and then just stared at the camera. His response? There it is. King Trump crapping on America, which is insane, though I will grant, factually accurate. But wait, it gets better. He continues, this video was vile and violent and only proves the point of the No Kings March even more. What decent Democratic leader would ever post a video of themselves shitting on peaceful protesters?
I want to take a second here to thank CBS for letting us show that video on television because some networks are not showing that video because it's so disturbing. There's rational reasons to not show that video. But I think we're way beyond rationality at this point. So thank you, CBS. Thank you.
Colbert looks directly into the camera and says, does he have a late night show we can cancel? Because here's the thing, they already canceled his show. We'll get to that in a minute, but just let that sink in. The guy's show is already canceled for criticizing Trump, and he's still going harder than ever. The White House demolition lie fast forward, like 2 days, October 20th, and Colbert catches Trump in another lie, except this time there's literal video evidence. Remember back in July when Trump announced his $250 million White House ballroom project? $250 million, by the way, for a ballroom. But Trump specifically promised, that it would be near it but not touching it in reference to the historic East Wing.
Truly not clear this is at all legal. Trump also claimed that the new construction would not interfere with the existing structure. Well, he lied. Less than 3 months later, there are excavators tearing down the existing structure. And not just like cosmetic facades being removed. The entire eastern side of the White House is just gone, demolished. All, we should note, in the middle of a government shutdown, while more than 1 million civil servants go without pay. But presumably the person operating the backhoe is getting paid. because Trump can apparently hit up his donors to bankroll the demolition of the literal edifice of our democratic government. In this latest image from the Washington Post, you can see the entire eastern side of the White House is just gone. Most of the East Wing. Why? Because that's what he wants to do.
You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money.
Yeah, it reminds you of money, right? Who is paying for it, after all?
He said it would pay total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite. Cool, cool. So what happened? Backhoes, literally ripping apart the East Wing's facade, a structure that's been there since 1902. The headquarters for every First Lady since Rosalind Carter, just tearing it down. And get this, the Treasury Department, which is right next door, told employees not to share photos of the construction.
At this point, should we even believe that this is going to end up being a ballroom? It could just as easily end up being a combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell. Now, someone in his administration is clearly smart enough to know how bad this looks, because the Treasury Department is right next door facing the demolition, and Treasury has now told their employees not to share any photos of the construction. Not generally something you instruct when you're proud of what's going on. Hey guys, remember, no photos at my wedding, and it's not because I'm marrying a body pillow of Mariah Carey.
The Secret Service closed public access to Ellipse Park so journalists couldn't photograph it. Colbert's reaction was perfect. Well, that makes sense. If none of it's on camera, they can just claim the East Wing hanged itself in prison. That Epstein reference, though, brutal. But seriously, think about what that means. They're literally destroying a historic building and actively trying to hide it from the public. Not generally something you instruct when you're proud of what's going on, as Colbert put it.
I've got a comment. I'll mail it in right here. Damn it! Former staffers and first ladies from both sides of the aisle are pretty upset about this. Penny Adams, who was Pat Nixon's staff in the 1970s, put it this way: "I literally cried as I could see my old office window," she said in an interview with East Wing magazine. Sorry. Used to be East Wing magazine, now it's Better Holes and Garbage. In addition to the First Lady's offices, the East Wing also held the East Colonnade, the Family Movie Theater, the Office of Legislative Affairs, the White House Military Office, and the White House Calligrapher's Office.
The cancellation that started everything all right, so to understand why this moment is so significant, we need to go back to July, because that's when everything changed. July 17th, 2025. CBS announces that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is ending in May 2026. Not just the show, the entire Late Show franchise that's been on CBS since David Letterman in 1993. Done. Over. Now, the timing here is, let's call it suspicious.
We're sure all that money is going to be tracked carefully? This is, of course, how a monarch acts, right? And this is just one small but very illustrative example that absolutely pales next to Trump's most kingly urges, like, for instance, and this is not hyperbolic, the urge to kill anyone he wants, anywhere, anytime.
President Trump also shared video of the strike on the submarine that he says was carrying a large amount of fentanyl. He said the attack killed 2 people on board the vessel, while 2 others survived. This was at least the 5th strike the Trump administration has carried out in international waters against alleged drug traffickers. Critics have argued the strikes are illegal and circumvent due process laws, but President Trump has vowed to continue them.
Those killings are illegal. I mean, absent some new information, absent some new legal rationale, based on everything we do know, they're illegal.
Paramount Global, CBS's parent company, paid Trump $16 million to settle a lawsuit. Trump had sued over a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris, claiming CBS edited it unfairly to make her look better. CBS denied any wrongdoing, said the edits were routine journalism, but they paid anyway. $16 million. And 3 days before that cancellation announcement, Colbert had addressed that settlement on his show, July 14th, and he didn't hold back.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair.
While I was on vacation, my parent corporation Paramount paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit, he said. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended, and I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this company. Then he called it, and I'm quoting here, a big fat bribe. He suggested Paramount made the payment because they needed FCC approval for their $8 billion merger with Skydance Media under the Trump administration.
Over the weekend, it sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive. And now for the next 10 months, the gloves are off. I can finally, I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now.
3 days later, show is canceled. I mean, come on. CBS claims it's purely a financial decision. Late night's dying, broadcast TV ad revenue is down 50% in 7 years, younger audiences don't watch linear TV anymore. And look, there's truth to that. The economics of late night have legitimately changed. But the optics, the timeline, a major media corporation settles with Trump, then immediately cancels its most prominent Trump critics show.
They clarified that the cancellation was purely a financial decision. But how could it purely be a financial decision if The Late Show is #1 in ratings? A lot of folks, it's confusing. A lot of folks are asking that question, mainly my staff's parents and spouses. Well, over the weekend, somebody at CBS followed up their gracious press release with a gracious anonymous leak saying they pulled the plug on our show because of losses pegged between $40 million and $50 million a year. 40 million's a big number. I could see us losing $24 million, but where would Paramount have possibly spent the other $16 million? Oh, yeah.
All while needing federal approval for a massive merger. Yeah, that looks exactly like what it looks like. Trump's gloating. Trump's response to the cancellation was immediate and gleeful. July 18th on Truth Social. I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Classic Trump can't help himself, has to gloat, has to punch down, has to make it personal. And if he just left it there, maybe it would have blown over. Maybe people would have moved on. But Trump doesn't know how to leave anything alone. Go fuck yourself, July 22nd, 2025. Colbert's first show after the cancellation announcement. He addresses Trump's gloating post, shows it on screen, then looks directly into the camera, they literally called it the eloquence cam, affects this clipped New York accent, and says 2 words, go fuck yourself.
The president went on, I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Nope, no, absolutely not, Kimmel. I am the martyr, okay? Okay, there's only room for one on this cross, and I gotta tell you, the view is fantastic from up here. I can see your house. Look, I promise I'll have more to say about all this after the commercial break over there. Be sure to stick around for that. The only other story out there is kind of a small one. The president was buddies with a pedophile. On Friday, the Wall Street Journal dropped an absolute bombshell. They are reporting that in 2003, Trump sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. that was sexually suggestive.
The audience loses it. Standing ovation, chanting Stephen, 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 and he's not done. Trump had predicted Jimmy Kimmel would be next to get fired. Colbert's response, nope, no, no, absolutely not. Kimmel, I am the martyr. There's only room for one on this cross, and the view is fantastic from up here. I can see your house. He opened the show with, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Cancel culture has gone too far.
Trump has received a lot of money for his balldoggle from groveling corporations like Amazon, Apple, Comcast, Google, Microsoft, T-Mobile, Meta Platforms, and Hard Rock International. Yes, the Hard Rock. So guests of the ballroom will get to see all the great rock and roll presidential memorabilia like Bill Clinton's sax and Nixon's cone bra. Trump needs all the cash he can get. He repeatedly said that this ballroom would cost $200 million, but now he's saying it's $300 million, which is going to buy a lot of ballroom. Just take a look at this scale model. It's going to be bigger than the White House itself. It's going to be 90,000 square feet. 90,000 is about the same size as a professional soccer field. So remember, corporations, as you bribe the president, no hands.
Here's what really concerns me, though. It's not just Colbert. September 2025. ABC suspends Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. Why? Because Trump's FCC chairman Brendan Carr hinted, not subtly, that ABC's broadcast license could be at stake if they didn't do something about Kimmel. What did Kimmel do? He linked a conservative activist's alleged killer to Trump's MAGA movement. On air. Colbert's response on September 19th.
Couldn't have this wonderful news for my dear friend Jimmy and his amazing staff. They continue their show. That's right. You know, I'm so happy for them. Plus, now that Jimmy's not being canceled, I get to enjoy this again. Yeah. I was just, once more, I am the only martyr in late nights. Wait, unless, CBS, you want to announce anything?
When I heard it, I was in the midst of, building a great, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom at the White House, right? They don't have a ballroom. They have to use tents on the lawn for President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects that would design. It's going to be incredible.
Like that. And why are we building a $200 million ballroom in the White? Is it possible that he's doing it intentionally so we could be mad about that instead of the Epstein list? By the time he's out of office.
With an autocrat, you cannot give an inch. He called it blatant censorship and said he stood with Kimmel 100%. The next day, Trump praised Kimmel's suspension and suggested the FCC might revoke licenses from broadcast networks that are against him. Let that sink in for a second. The President of the United States is openly suggesting government agencies should revoke broadcast licenses based on whether networks are against him. That's not how democracy works.
Yesterday, at the White House, Trump talked about his wrecking ballroom. And the one thing I don't think we make enough fun of is how his brain is filled with cotton candy fantasies of lavish princely soirees.
So you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor, and then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom, Mr. Senators, and you're gonna see a ballroom the likes of which I don't think it'll be topped.
There'll be drinks, cocktails, like this, drinks and cocktails.
That's how authoritarianism works. And the pattern continues. Nexstar Media Group, which needed FCC approval for a $6.2 billion merger, announced its ABC-affiliated stations would preempt Kimmel's show for the foreseeable future. Paramount settles with Trump, cancels Colbert. ABC suspends Kimmel after FCC pressure. Nexstar preempts Kimmel while seeking merger approval. You see the pattern?
Yeah.
Did you ever think the President of the United States would be celebrating your unemployment?
I mean, that son of a bitch, is really unbelievable.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
I mean, Mr.
Mr. Son of a bitch.
His royal Yes, yeah, no, I never imagined that we'd ever have a president like this, and I hope we don't ever have another president like this again. I mean, I never even imagined there would ever be a situation in which the president of our country was celebrating hundreds of Americans losing their jobs. With somebody who took pleasure in that. That, to me, is the absolute opposite of what a leader of this country is supposed to be.
Stay vigilant, folks, because this fight isn't over. And the next time you see Trump lashing out at a comedian or threatening a network or celebrating someone getting canceled, remember, that's not strength. That's weakness. That's fear. And we should all be paying very close attention to what he's afraid of.